Thank you, Veronica, and good morning to all of you. Well, I have to say it's been really interesting to listen to the speakers this morning. I don't know if you saw it, but I was nodding all the time when we heard from Hans and Carl on technology and how that is impacting the speed of change and how we need to adapt to that. And I was also really inspired by the discussion that we just heard with Michael and Paul on business with a purpose. And that is something that we're working on in Yara as well. So let me build on that and share the perspective from my side. I'll talk about how Yara is working on innovations with a purpose and to be a sustainable crop nutrition company. As has already been said, the economic growth model is flawed. It's not designed to tackle the global challenges that we're facing. And in my opinion, there are two ways that we can look at this. Either you get terrified by all the obstacles, or you can embrace the opportunities. And if you choose to embrace the opportunities, then you have to change your business model. Business as usual is not an option anymore. The sooner we realize this, the better. So, what are these opportunities? They are many, I can tell you. Together with Paul Polman and Hans Westberg, I'm part of the Business and Sustainable Development Commission. And in our most recent report, Better Business, Better World, we looked at the business opportunity of linking the businesses to the UN Sustainable Development Goals. And the potential in this is huge. You heard a number from Paul, $12,000 billion in market opportunities by year 2030. 380 million new jobs created. Just think about that for a second. $12 trillion, 380 million new jobs, just by doing the right thing. In my opinion, we cannot let these opportunities go past us. I mentioned the Sustainable Development Goals, and for those of you that are not quite familiar with them, they are a set of 17 goals. They frame policies and the political agenda from now to 2030. But these goals also are a framework for building new business models. What we've done at Yara is to analyze these 17 goals to determine how we can contribute, and then we built our business model based on that. It guides everything that we do. And as some of you may know, Yara was founded about 100 years ago to tackle the famine in Europe at the time. Today, we're working to improve food security all over the world. And the Sustainable Development Goal of zero hunger is certainly key to that. But through that, we also support the vision of no poverty, the goal of no poverty, and several, or perhaps most, of the 15 other Sustainable Development Goals. Succeeding in that will benefit both society and our own company. But there is also another Sustainable Development Goal that we need to keep in mind, number 13, climate action. With agriculture being 25% of climate or greenhouse gas emissions, it is crucial that increased food production does not come at the expense of the environment. And I mentioned flawed business models, but what we're also facing are flawed food and land use systems. That is a huge obstacle for progress. Today, more than 800 million people go to bed hungry every night. 2 billion people suffer from nutrient deficiencies. 150 million children below the age of 5 are stunted. At the same time, 1/3 of the food produced is wasted. These are some of the reasons that we have engaged with the Food and Land Use Coalition, which is basically a roadmap or an alternative path to deliver on the Sustainable Development Goals. This makes sense in so many ways. When you think about it, we know the challenge, we know the potential, and we have a framework through the Sustainable Development Goals, and they are ready to be used. But how do we go about this beyond just analyzing it? Our experience from the past years is that there are two ingredients that are absolutely crucial: imagination and collaboration. Let's start with imagination. We've all heard the phrase to think outside the box. There's no use thinking outside the box if you're not curious about what is outside the box. Albert Einstein said that the true sign of intelligence is not knowledge, but imagination. And since he was a more knowledgeable man than I am, I will choose to trust him on that. When Yara needed to improve the transportation of fertilizers from our plant in Porsgrunn, one of our employees showed a great deal of imagination. Instead of continuing to look at road transport, Bjørn Tore Orvik asked the question, what if we move transport from land to sea? What if we use an electric ship, self-driving? But the challenge was, such a ship does not exist. He then contacted the company Kongsberg, and within a short time, the project was established. Next year, Yara Birkeland, the container ship, will be launched, the world's first fully electric, zero-emission, autonomous ship. It will be a benefit for the environment, and at the same time, it makes business sense for us. And you can see a model of it just by the entrance. This is innovation with a purpose. The Yara Birkeland project shows the importance of collaboration, and we couldn't have done this without Kongsberg. And the cooperation with Enova has also been crucial. It is important that we know our strengths, but equally important it is to understand our limitations. No one can solve the major global challenges themselves. We need to work across industries and sectors, because uncoordinated efforts will be too slow. I said earlier that we could either be terrified by the obstacles, or we could embrace the opportunities. I tried to show you some of the opportunities, and to those of you that are still terrified, let's talk a little bit about risk. We have to redefine risk. The traditional thinking is very often keep doing things the same way that we've always done it. Do not rock the boat, so to speak. And maybe that has worked so far. But we have to understand that there is a storm coming, and if you choose to sit still in the boat, that boat will capsize. Business as usual is probably the most risky strategy of all. It wasn't my intention to scare anyone. Instead, I hope that you will be inspired by the input you will get in these next 2 days, inspired to be bold, to be responsible, to be smart. Thank you for your attention.